So what's going on guys, Kids here, and welcome back to a brand new video. For today I will show you the best Ajax build guide in the first Descendant. So for this build I will show you what weapons and modules you want to get. Then I will explain every single skill and show you the best stats and external components. And then lastly we will take a closer look at the gameplay, so you would be able to get the best results and highest damage possible and much more. And just before we start, let me introduce you guys to today's sponsor, Instant Gaming. They are a website that provides you with a brand new and simple way to buy games at amazing prices. You can get the best PC, Mac and console games with up to 70% off. Instant Gaming makes it very easy to save while purchasing games within a single site. Just choose the game you want to play. For example, I want to buy the new Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree DLC. So we just click on Add to Cart, then click Pay. Then we input our details, and then when the payment is complete, we will receive the game's activation key. And finally, we just simply go to the Steam and copy and paste the key in, and it's that simple. We just saved 9 euros and this was only 23% off. There are plenty of other offers that go even up to 70%. So what are you waiting for? Check out Instant Gaming by clicking my link in the description box, and let's get right back into the video. So then let's move over to the Ajax build. Ajax is a very tanky Descendant, who can create barriers that protect allies and deflect damage back at enemies. The most important thing to learn to get good at playing him is how the void energy mechanic works, and how can you harness it. All of the Ajax skills have normal and enhanced versions. Casting skills in their normal version will save up void energy, but casting a skill when your void energy is full will cause the skill to become enhanced, granting additional effects. I strongly recommend you to familiarize yourself with the normal and enhanced versions of Ajax skills and trying to form the habit of being tactical about which enhanced skills to use when your void energy is full. This will take a bit of practice to master, because it's somewhat a different playstyle to the other characters in this game. Other than the void energy mechanic, try to play into Ajax's strengths as much as you can, so you can create cover for yourself and allies in locations of your choosing by using the Ajax's barrier skills, and you can use Void Walk to leap into battle and stun nearby enemies when you land, dealing AoE damage. This makes Ajax a great team player who can spearhead attacks and keep teammates alive. So now let's take a closer look at our skills. The first passive skill is called the Event Horizon, which will give you the ability to store void energy during a battle. Void energy can be used to enhance skills with additional effects. Then our first active skill is called the Orbit Barrier, which creates a shield in front of Ajax. Durability increases proportional to Ajax's HP and defenses, and if enhanced, this will reflect damage proportional to enemies hitting the barrier. Then the second one is Void Walk. This skill leaps into the air and lands on the ground to strike nearby enemies by stunning them. If enhanced, max shields increases for a certain period of time. Then the Expulsion skill will strike nearby enemies, knocking them back, and if enhanced, knockback ranged and max shields are increased. And finally we have the Hypercube skill that creates a dome-shaped shield. Durability increases proportional to Ajax's HP and defenses, and if enhanced, it will also reflect damage proportional to enemies hitting the barrier. Then now let's take a closer look at our build's modules. Your module capacity cost limits how many modules you can equip, and they can be upgraded as you level up your character. Different modules have different capacity cost, which generally depends on how powerful the module is. This is a balancing system to prevent players from only equipping the strongest module and having a totally overpowered character. But of course, it's important to know that when equipping modules on Ajax, make sure that as many modules as possible are in a slot with a matching icon, and this will halve their module capacity cost. So here we have the best modules for your leveling build. You should be able to get this Ajax leveling setup by approximately level 25 to 30. This is a good base setup to have before you are preparing to farm the max level setup. So we want to get increased defensives, which will increase your defenses significantly. Then the increased HP, which will considerably increase your HP. Then the skill expansion, which improves your skill effect ranges. Then the increased shield, which will boost your max shields. Then the dual claws, which increases module capacity and changes your sub attack to a dual claw attack. Then the Tech Specialist, that boosts the power of your tech skills. And lastly, the Flexi slot, which you can put anything you like here. For example, if you're expecting to deal with a lot of fire damage, then you can use something like the fire resistance maximization. And then, just before we move on to the max level build, let me quickly explain why are some skill modules empty, like for example here. So basically, this slot modifies our skills, but the problem is that all the modified variants are worse for our Ajax build than the original. Therefore, we leave the slot empty, because there's not a single modifier in that slot, which could help our build, so there's no need to waste our time. And after that is done, now we are ready for our max level module setup. So then for the endgame build, I recommend to use the Matrix Reconsumption, which modifies Expulsion to cast a buff that helps allies to survive. Then increase defensives, which increases your defensives significantly. Then the Shield Conversion, which increases your max MP, but in return slightly reduces your max shields. Then we want to get increased HP, which considerably increases our health. Then the Skill Expansion, which improves your skill effect ranges. Then increased Shield, that boosts your max shields. Then the Dual Claw, which increases your module capacity and changes your sub attack to a dual claw attack. Then the Skill Range Mastery, which increases skill critical hit damage with a slight increase to our skill effect range as well. Then next up we have the Defensive Accelerant, which improves skill duration and defensives. Then we want to get the Tech Specialist, that boosts the power of the tech skills. And finally the Flexi slot, that you can put anything you like here. So for example, if you're expecting to deal with a lot of fire damage, then you could use something like the Fire Resistance Maximization. So then finally, let's take a closer look at the best weapons and the stats that we should use. And for our Ajax build, we want to get the Python, Nazir's Devotion, and the Albion Cavalry Gun. The Python submachine gun is an ultimate weapon that debuffs the defenses of the enemies when you hit their weak point, allowing you and your allies to damage them more easily. This is a high DPS weapon with a quick fire rate that adds the prey effect on enemies. And then for our weapon mods, here are the best ones, like the Concentrate Support Ammo, Lethal Finish, Action and Reaction, Concentration Priority, Rifling Reinforcement, Weak Point Control, Fire Enhancement, Weak Point Sight and Reload Priority. Then the second one is the Nazir's Devotion, which is a great secondary weapon for the Ajax build. It works especially well if you are good at aiming and are confident at hitting enemy weak points. Hitting an enemy's weak point with this weapon will reduce their defenses by 30% for 3 seconds, which indirectly buffs the damage of your all attacks. And lastly, we want to use the Albion Cavalry Gun, which is a useful situational weapon. This gun grants you a damage bonus when you attack stunned enemies, which is well suited to Ajax due to his ability to stun enemies in an AoE. There's also a chance to extend the stun duration if you land a critical hit on a stunned enemy. And then last but not the least, we need to quickly look into the best reactor stats. Your reactor is a very important item that determines your skill damage and can also include extra modifiers that buff certain aspects of your build. The better your reactor is, the more damage your skills will deal to enemies. I recommend prioritizing using reactor with a high skill power and sub attack power. In secondary, look out for a reactor that buffs the tech and or non-attribute skills, as most of the Ajax's skills fall into these categories. After that, look out for reactors with a boost to your skill critical hit damage, which will improve the amount of damage dealt when you land a critical hit. And finally, we have the external components. With your external components, you will be somewhat subject to RNG, at least until you play the game long enough to find basically every single possible combination with a good stat roll. So for this build, I recommend prioritizing components with max HP and defensives, as Ajax's barrier scales from these stats, so boosting them as much as possible will make him a lot stronger. So with that said, I really do appreciate everyone for watching guys, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions or suggestions for the next video, then feel free to leave your comments in the comment section down below. And while you're doing that, please click like, subscribe and enable that notification bell, so this way you could support the channel and not miss any more amazing content. With that said, you have an amazing day and I will see you in the next one, so take it easy, peace.